Welcome to the video about my third prototype, which I casually called Need for Tanks. Definitely no copyrights there. So, I'd like to introduce you to the project that I have made for the module for games design prototyping and production, sorry. So, let's start off. When I press play, we'll be inside of this wonderful purple decal, which I have made myself. And we'll just introduce us to the level. So, there's a basic widget in the top left, which basically tells you about each area when you go inside one of these squares, like this one. Just gives you some basic information about what you can do here. I'll go into full screen to make sure that the widget is not glitching out. So, in the bottom right, you've got the speedometer. As you can see, it's measuring how fast I am going. So, we're gonna do the game modes at last. First, let's go to the weapons and ammo. So, in here you can see different stations, which basically can provide you with either ammo or weapons. You've got the little decal squares on the floor, which will tell you about each section. Like this. So, this is the ammo area, blah blah blah. And you've got the weapons as well, so this is the weapons area. And it just tells you basically about each area, like in its basic manner. For debugging purposes, you've got the text over the objects, which basically give you how much amount of ammo it has, how much cooldown, and then the weapons, it tells you how much damage the weapon does and what is its fire rate. It's not balanced out, so please don't worry about it. So, as you can see, these were the weapons, so you can basically go and just collect them if you really want to. Like this. You can just fire it as well. So, let's go into the game modes related now. In here you basically have most of the objects, apart from the ring, if I'm aware, which basically just tell you basically a showcase of what either game mode consists of and what has inside of itself. So, first of all, is the recharge station. Is the one that is not included in any of the game modes because it works. However, it's bugging out sometimes with if player hits one of the pillars. What will happen is basically the player will just fall down on its back and he'll start weirding out because of the physics. That's the only thing that I didn't fix in here. So it tells you also the information about it. As you can see, you've got the targets which you can shoot at. They're in the target practice game mode, and you've got the penalties which are in the ring collector, if I'm aware. Apart from that little floor piece down there, it's supposed to be a penalty which should slow you down. However, the only problem is that it's actually adding energy, and I think the way I did that is because this was glitching out the recharge station. I have just done this basic little floor piece until that could be fixed. So it's not really a penalty, but that big mushroom there switches the engine off for 3 seconds. You also have the information about the penalties as well. So, the game modes also has the information in it. So you got the 2 target practice, which shows the targets in set time and earn coins, and ring collector, which is collect rings in set time and earn coins. There is no coin system there yet. I might do a little update later on just to showcase that it does have it, because I wanted to do a little shop where the player can showcase the trail coming out of the back from the tank and you know, change the skins and whatever else on the tank, just to showcase how it would work. So, let's start off with the target practice, I think. So, this is the game mode area. Just a simple thing. You can choose a weapon. And as you can see, I just fell down. It does happen. Yeah. I didn't put the walls around that one, but yeah. I promise there is one in the ring collector. So, as you can see, you can go back to the debug area, or you can choose a weapon and start the game mode. It just tells you, you know, there's the weapons and whatever else. You can collect the ammo. So basically, if you choose any of the weapons, what will happen is that all the ammo stations will actually change to the weapon that you have chosen. So if I choose that, as you can see, all of the weapons, all of the ammo stations have changed its ammo to the bullets. So I can start the target practice now, as you can see. Just killed one target and it was completed. It was a victory. Yeah. This one's just a really basic, just to showcase how the victory and fail states work. Just a basic thing. If I go into the ring collector, it'll be much longer to do. So here you have a full-fledged area with all the information here. You've got the debug menu as well, so if you're within the game mode itself, you can press the no key 0 to add 5 seconds to the time, just to see whether, if you complete it will actually work or not. Got some basic information there as well. You can change the time if you press on a gem, that green gem in front of me. If you press on it, you can change the time. Just to make the game a bit easier if you really need that. But with the debug option, I don't think you're gonna need to do that. So, as you can see, the widget has appeared with the time left and the rings left. So if you go through the ring, the ring left will decrease. You can go around. We've got the double speed thing, or if you go over it, it will grant you double speed, so you can go faster around the area. So rings left, as you can see, is now 1, and if I go through it again, it will go back to 6, and if I complete it again, in theory, it should finish the game mode. You can also fail it if the time runs out, or if you go outside of the area, it will fail you, and you will need to basically restart. As I said, the game mode has not been completed fully, so I can't really say that has been completed. It's probably one of the worst prototypes I have made. However, I did need to do a little bit of a rework on it. I have done a full 12-hour day just to basically polish things. It was far worse than what you can see now. I'm kind of getting proud of it. However, as I have said, it's just not that. It's really bad, because it could have been worse, to be honest with you. But yeah, it got there in the end. There are many things which I have cut out from the documentation. I'll probably go and polish it later on, just to showcase you how it should have looked like. Not sure. I think there were like 6 laps or something. But yeah, you could have seen it before, that there was a victory widget and there was the fail widget as well. So you can, in theory, complete the entire game loop, and there's no problem with that. There's no save system though, so there is nothing safe in the player's progress, because I have not spent as much time on this prototype as I really wanted to. I can improve on it, definitely. So we can also talk about what has went right and what has went wrong with this project. So the things right, I do have the weapons and the ammo, and here how I wanted it to. I've got the 2 game modes that I wanted in here, and I've got basically most of the prototype assets that I needed. The UI is mostly done. I probably need a energy counter, which would measure how much energy I have. And also I would probably need to fix the AI in some of the game modes, because it's just off from the anchor points. Also, I like the way I have done the debugging, so the little rectangle areas they can go through, and I'll just display the information, and you've got the text over things as well. I pretty much like it. I like how I also divided the sections up, to make sure that you can go around and just check out the specific section of the game. I have definitely developed on the idea later on in my other projects. So the negatives of this is that I have not made most of the things that I really wanted to make on this project. and I have kind of I basically needed to rework the entire project from ground up, apart from the tank itself, for a single reason of it was meant to be a racing game, where you would have raced the AI. However, the problem was I couldn't get the AI right to do the turns how I wanted it to, so it was just basically spinning around for no reason. So I kind of needed to switch that to another project. So instead of me, doing a full racing game, I have kind of made it so that the racing is against the time, which is basically a cheatsy way of doing it. However, I have overcome this problem. But because I didn't have much time left to complete that prototype and amount of time given, I think I switched the prototype idea 1 week before the end of the deadline. So when I have switched it back, I didn't have enough time to complete everything, and even then, after the deadline, I needed to polish some stuff for the prototype because it was just basically unplayable. I tried playing it and it was just basically you couldn't complete it. It was bad. It didn't have any gameplay loop or anything like that. So I did complete it. I did get a few pieces of feedback from the old project, which I can actually showcase to you because I do have it open up here. So as you can see, I've designed a Word document which have 3 main pieces of feedback, and it has the subsections, so what has been changed and the improved gameplay. So if I go through the first one, it was basically that I need to create a working gameplay loop, which I did. It has a working gameplay loop. You can win or you can lose, depending on the game mode. Basically, depends on the situation and the rules of each game mode. But yeah, you can complete it. Has improved gameplay? Yeah, absolutely, because it's actually in the game now. You can complete it. So it's not polished by any standards. However, it is visible and it is fully described in a non-intrusive manner, so as a widget, which doesn't really cover that much of the UI. The second one feedback I had was improve the debug map. It was mainly because there was really no debug map. The objects were there, however, just big cube which you need to go around just to check out a few pieces of a few objects from other game modes. The problem was that it was just too big. There was no visible information. There was nothing to test. So I spent an entire day, changing things to make sure that the debug actually is a debug rather than just, being there for no obvious reason. So I have improved it so that the designers, if anyone would work on that game, in theory could have just edited some stuff really easily rather than just have a look, not know what is happening and just leave it. So what has been changed? The debug map has been made smaller, and essential things like the non-working AI has been removed. Because it's not a part of the game essentially, so I've just removed that from that. It's still in the files, but it's not working. Map is now divided into different sections, and description pads provide a description about each section. So this is the part which I have liked the most about the project, because I developed it to make sure that the designers know what they are getting into, and they know what each thing does and how it was meant to work. Everything is fully visible. Player cannot leave the map apart from using the teleporters. Yeah, this is kind of true. The only thing which I would have highlighted is that I could have made the walls around the debug area, be actual walls, because as you can see, there are ways of you leaving the map. Literally, just drive off from all of the platforms, and that's it. You would need to restart. But apart from that, it does have walls. It does have the sections divided into different pieces. So it's not that bad. It could be better, definitely, but it's good as it gets. With the time I had, as you can see here, you can just change different variables and stuff. You can select if it's a debug or not. So if I switch it off, the text goes. So it's really focused onto debug areas. And the last piece of feedback I had, the main, was to improve the steering. What was happening before when you were trying to steer was a lot slower, and the turning didn't really feel like a turn. It was more like this rather than, you know, actually constant turn. It was hideous. However, I have changed it to make sure that whoever was playing it felt that the steering was a little bit better. So what has been changed? The steering was modified to adjust internal variables of hover component. The vehicle now is faster and controls smoother than before. Just need to remove that A. It can be further improved by adjusting the turning by nullifying relevant forward forces, because it's essentially just working on physics. If you press W, the forces from behind the vehicle are basically turned, I don't know, spawned. So I don't know how to describe it. The forces are spawned in, which basically make the object move either forward or backward. If you press D or A, which basically D is the right turn and A is the left turn, if you do this, what happens is that the torque force is applied, which basically makes the vehicle just turn like this. It doesn't move forward or backward, it just basically just spins around because it's torque. So the feedback did improve gameplay, yes. The vehicle is now more responsive and drives better than before. Player can also now use placeable to either gain penalties or speed up. So essentially it was the little mushroom thing and the pad which grants you the double speed. As I have mentioned, this project, basically I didn't have much time to complete it in, which was the main factor why it seems to be broken and not really playable, like my other prototypes. So that was the main issue. I have kind of overscoped what I wanted to do, mostly with the AI, because the track would be easy to do, you know, just create a spline inside of 3ds Max and just edit it. I tried, you know, getting around it, however I couldn't. I had a look on different people doing the racing AIs and I just couldn't get into it because it was just a lot of coding. So I decided to switch it, as I mentioned before. So yeah, that's prototype 3. I have mentioned all of the assets that I have used within the used and created within the engine. I have mentioned the good and bad of the project, my self-reflection and the feedback I had from other people and how I have used it to better the game. If I got, you know, another piece of feedback, I'll probably get the same reviews of what I said myself that I would need to change about this prototype. But yeah, this is prototype 3, Need for Tanks. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope it was really informative from my point of view. So thank you very much for watching and I'll see you in the next prototype.